What are your main responsibilities at AFS?
I got hired as a caseworker. I recently got promoted to assistant program director. I'm not super familiar with all of my responsibilities at the moment. I'm still being trained. But um, the main things is like supervising of caseworkers, approving timesheets and respite and just like assisting my caseworkers with putting out any fires that need to happen, um, cultivating relationships with county workers and the other counties to make sure that we work harmoniously together in the system. And yeah, that's kind of the surface level of my new position.
Great. And congratulations on
Thank
the promotion. What led you to work in this field?
So I got my BA in psychology, and I've always been interested in, the mind and why people do the things that they do and how people work. But towards the end of my time in undergrad, I really didn't like the only pathway to continue on was to get a PsyD. And I didn't particularly want to do that at the time, and I still really don't. So I started to branch out and just look at what other potential like ways, like pathways I could take for grad school to get me a degree in something that I could actually work in the field and earn money at. So I stumbled upon social work. And I dug a little deeper and I figured out, the different type of levels that you could work on, and the different type of communities that you could serve. I've always been really interested in serving children. And, I graduated my grad program in 2021, and I was just feverishly applying for jobs, and I stumbled upon AFS. I never really saw myself working in foster care. When I got the job, I was like, oh, I'll be here for 2 years and kind of get my foot in the door and then work my way up. It's been 3.5 years now. And so, yeah, that I just kind of stumbled upon it and I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do. You fall in love with the families, you fall in love with the kids, and it's really hard to sever those connections that you've made. Even though most of it is putting out fires on a daily basis, when those times do roll around and you realize how much love you have for your clients and your families, it's really hard to think about parting with them.
Sure. My next question was going to be, why did you choose to work at AFS? But I think you already covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say are the three best things about your job?
The three best things. I love my team. I love the camaraderie we have. I look forward to going to our team meetings. We're all very collaborative. We're all very funny. And I just really enjoy the workplace culture that specifically the Oakland office has, cultivated. Um, the second thing, again, is just those connections with families and clients and um, those special moments that come out where you see that the work that you're doing is actually meaning something. Because it can't always feel like that, especially when you're just going through the motions on a day-to-day basis. But when you get to like adoptions or the other day I was talking to one of my kids that I've had for these past 3.5 years. And he's about to be 18 and he's starting his senior year and we're talking about senior portraits and senior activities. And I got like, I almost wanted to tear up and I was like, oh my God, look at you growing up. Like, I never thought we'd be here talking about this. So yeah, that's definitely my second thing. And my third thing, um, I don't know. I feel like number two was a two-parter. Um, I really enjoy the hybrid lifestyle, that we get at AFS. I I recently got a new dog, so I enjoy spending time at home with her. And AFS allows me to be flexible with my work schedule.
Nice. And what would you say, and it doesn't have to be three, but what would you say are the toughest parts about your job?
Yeah, adapting to different personalities and different work ethics, especially within the county, it can be difficult. And they have their barriers as well, for sure. But when you're on call 24/7 and some of the stuff that you need handled can only be handled by a county worker and you're having a hard time getting a hold of them. And when you do get a hold of them, they're very short with you. That gets difficult and it's definitely been, tough to manage for as long as I've been here. But I've kind of just learned to not take it personally, which I think I was doing too much of in the beginning. And we're all here to advocate for the kids. So yeah, that's definitely the toughest, is just collaborating with them.
What are some misconceptions about foster care that you would like to address?
Well, I feel like a lot of people, when I tell them I work in foster care with the kiddos, they assume that I'm taking the kids away from the home. And I have to kind of clear up that that's not part of my job. I'm here for on the back end and the aftermath of everything to kind of cultivate those relationships and, work towards permanency maybe with our resource parents. Um, they think, and I don't know, maybe I'm desensitized, but they think it's very difficult. And, a lot of people are like, wow, like you're so great for doing that every single day. And I mean, to me, again, the day-to-day stuff, it's not always super crazy. It's not always super hectic. Sometimes you're just going in to check in, and most of it is paperwork. So, I know that I'm making a difference on a larger scale, but on a day to day, it doesn't feel as heroic as some people kind of see that it is. I actually feel like a mom half the time. I feel like I'm doing all of these little menial tasks to keep these kiddos and these parents happy. So yeah, I think that people think it's difficult on a daily basis. And I think that people think that these kids are coming in with these just outrageous, uncontrollable, um, just, the most awful behaviors. And not a lot of times that's not true. You do have kids that have bigger behavioral problems than others, but most of them are just, I mean, all of them are traumatized, but most of them are just kind of dealing with the aftermath of everything and trying to get back on their 2 feet, learning to trust people again, and, pushing them to take advantage of the resources that we and the county and every other system in place for foster kids has to get them, at a better point in their life than maybe they were when they first entered the system.
Yeah. Can you talk about a particularly impactful moment that you've had while working at AFS?
Um, my first adoption that I was a part of, it was with a family that I had started off a little bit rocky. They had had a caseworker that they loved for a lot of years. So they were very wary of any new person coming in. I was very new. I was fresh out of grad school. And we started off on the wrong foot a little bit, but we were able to kind of find our footing. And the resource parent was able to trust me. But I had a lot of difficulty breaking through with the older teen in that home. I think they were 16 at the time, and they had come into care with their younger brother. He was, I think, around 1 to 2 years old. So it was a big age gap, and it was great that the resource parent decided to, um, you know, take both of them in, because not a lot of people would do that. And so eventually we got to adoption day, and I hadn't gotten a lot out with this kiddo. She hadn't, shared a lot with me. I didn't feel like we had a really good like bond or strong relationship. And my last session, um, they cried and I cried. And it was just like it was so crazy to me to see that I had moved somebody, or I had, you know, cultivated a relationship so positively with somebody who I didn't think I did. And I kind of felt like I was going to leave a little defeated, like not feeling like I did enough. And that whole moment we shared together, it just like solidified that I did. I made at least a little bit of a difference in this person's life, and I helped her and her brother get adopted. And it was just it was great and it was wonderful. And I think I cried the entire car ride home. So yeah.
Nice. That's amazing. What is an interesting fact about you that others might not expect?
Um, I played soccer for a majority of my life. I think I started when I was 4, and I think I ended competitively when I was like 19. And then I just played intramurals and stuff like that.
Cool. I know you talked a little bit about a great success story, but is there any other stories that you'd like to share?
Um, I mean, all of my adoptions, I've been for a while, I was a part of a lot of adoptions that were going on, and they were all very bittersweet because you were seeing this family, be permanently together. And then I was terminated immediately and I had to stop going to see them and checking in on them. So those are my success stories. And um, I've had a handful of 18-year-olds too. So just watching them and helping them go from a resource home to like a THP or to college. I actually have one that I'm discharging this weekend, and she's off to UCLA. And it's great. So it's wonderful to see them succeed, and maybe also watch them see that what we were talking about in the resource home was right and the real world is hard. And we weren't saying some of these things to, be mean or scare them. It's tough out there. So yeah.
Nice. What's one piece of advice you would provide to someone who is starting out in a similar role?
Yeah. Self-care. Take the time to just take care of yourself. Even though we have deadlines on things, if you need to take a night, if you to just like not do anything, take that night. It's very easy to get burnt out in this role, and this field in general. So yeah, a lot of self-care. We are on call 24/7, but sometimes not every phone call or text needs to be answered right away. Um, if it's not an emergency, it can wait till the morning. And I think that's hard for the resource parents to understand as well. But yeah, just taking time for yourself and making sure you don't get burnt out. And if you feel like you're going to get burnt out, taking that vacation or, taking a sick day or just taking some time. Yeah.
Great advice. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate you doing this, and it was a surprise to get your email, and I didn't even know we did things like this. So yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time and wanting to hear what I have to say, and yeah, I just appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again for your time. Much appreciated. Uh, Again, I'll go through once I have here. I can